Hello. A couple weeks ago, I filmed a video on packing my bag for a wedding, and I started going through everything that I take for my flat lays, and it ended up snowballing into way too much. So I promised you that I would do a whole video on what I pack in my flat lays. So today is the day. We have so much stuff in here, and it's just sort of accumulated over the last few years or so, because anytime I see like a really cool picture on Pinterest, that kind of thing, I just pop online, and there's so many options out there, and it makes it really cool. So you can kind of customize and personalize it for each wedding based on where you are. I'm gonna start with some of the biggest things that I take with me. You never know what you're gonna be having in the way of backdrops, so I love having fabrics with me. I have one, this is just plain white, and this is kind of a, if you can really see it, it's like a lace option. So depending on the style that the wedding is, it's kind of nice to be able to throw that in as sort of a backdrop, especially if you've got like very warm wood floors or something that's you can't really photograph on and make it look nice. So that's really nice. Getting ready photos, you have to have a dress shot, especially if that's something that the customer, your client, has mentioned. I always take a hanger, because the amount of times that I didn't have one of these originally and I'm photographing on a really crappy metal or plastic hanger, it can trash a photograph of a $1,500 wedding dress. Also, every single time I take a dress photograph, I always have these little hooks with me, because I don't know how many times you've done a dress photo, but the amount of times that I've taken a dress photo and you cannot actually find somewhere nice for it to hang, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I always have multiple of these, because you never quite know what surfaces it can go on, what's going to look most discreet. So like this one's obviously a little bit nicer. This is very plain and white, but depending on the situation, you have choices. It's just 3M. It's got the sticker on the back, so I just peel that off, stick it on, and as soon as you take it off, like, you're not leaving any marks or anything, and you have yourself a beautiful photograph. With that, I then have all of my options for flat lay. So I'm just going to kind of run through each of them. I have this little jewelry box, little glass jewelry box. This is kind of cool. It's really nice because a lot of the time you're going to have dangly earrings. If you don't, then obviously you've got other options for displaying those, but this is really nice for hanging those earrings, putting a ring on there. It's another way of adding to things. You can have their invitations. I always request their invitations. Shoes, I request extra florals from the florist, or ask the client to request those. Jewelry, all of that, like, bring that all into your flat lays. It can be so powerful. And then on the chance that you don't get florals, I always have some dried stuff here. They're really nice, just like little eucalyptus leaf type thing, and some lavender. That's really nice add-on to be able to throw into your photographs and just give almost like a filler, but flowers always look amazing. I have got some ribbons. So these are different sort of like chiffon ribbons, different color swatches that we have. This way we can have a variety depending on their colors. These are all neutral, which is really nice. So I can drape them through, I can fill in the space and just create movement throughout the photograph, which is kind of cool. Just a nice way of creating that without taking away from what we're actually photographing. On top of that, I've got this. This is really cool. This is really nice for hanging earrings or necklaces. And you can create some nice light reflections off of it, that kind of thing. Especially when I don't have my phone, so I can't actually show you, but you can reflect the light through this, which it can create really cool patterns. So it just keeps things a little bit interesting. It gives you options, because no one wants their flat lays to look like somebody else's, especially if you've already photographed them in the past. More ribbons, those are really handy. I have this really cool like antique type book. So this, I can do some ring shots in here. I kind of open it up to a page that just says a little bit about like the greatest life. So this is really cool. I can put the rings right in the middle of the fold. I can put them in here. Like it's another option, which is, I love it. They turn out really well, which is nice. More 3M hooks. These are stamps. Woo! Antique-like style stamps. I'll show you these. Oh, I have more. These are really cool. You can just create some really cool, unique things with these stamps. I'll show you some photographs here. It just makes it pretty. So those are really nice for adding in. Anytime I do ring photos, it can be whether I'm doing it with the invitations, I'm doing it with shoes, whatever it might be. White tack is like the most powerful thing you can have in your pack, because you put a tiny little piece on the back of the rings and you can have them stand up straight. You can have her ring inside of his ring, and some rings that I photographed, like the guy's ring is huge and it just swallows the female's ring. So you can't get a nice photograph because they slip and slide, and that will frustrate you to no end. So white tack, gold, it's worth it. It's so amazing to have. It's like cheap stuff, but oof, everywhere. And then I always have a little mini reflector, because you want to get that light reflecting off that stone, especially if they've got something big, something fancy. So just bouncing that light a little bit can be super cool. So this is just like a 12-inch-ish one. I just keep it right in my little box, because that way then I just have everything in place. I just throw all of this stuff in a little Lululemon bag, and then I have all of my getting ready stuff all in one spot, and I don't have to worry about forgetting something. It's all out there. Just pick it up, go. And I have my options, because if you don't have your options with you, then you might be stuck because you don't have something to photograph it with. I do love taking these books with me. This I'm actually using as a gift for my wedding clients this year. So I take this, and doing ring shots on this is super cool. Jewelry shots, it's just a little bit of antique. And then if you open it up, there's sort of like antique style pages in there. So that's super cool for like some added texture. Woo! Love it. So I'll go over my wedding gifts another day, because I'm revamping them this year and I have some really cool things in mind. And as soon as I have one put together, I will maybe bring you along when I do put it together, and I'll show you kind of what I've done. I used to do just boxes, and I felt like everyone was doing that. So this is going to be so much more sentimental, which I'm really excited for. A few other things. I have this like antique tin, and it's just like some few extras. I feel like it's gonna all fall out, so I'm not gonna actually tip it up. I've got like a tape measure in there. I have a little zipper, old school, like a pin in like an old piece of newspaper, which is kind of cool. It brings some like depth into it. I have a little thimble, some thread. So this is a nice thing of just sort of adding as filler throughout the photos. That's pretty much all I take. That's all I take. But that's really what I take with me. And then depending on the wedding, I will do a variety of different combinations, different movements, that kind of thing. And depending on what they have, some clients, they won't even have an invitation. They won't even have shoes. They have comfy shoes. They don't have photographic shoes. So being able to use that, utilize what they have, what they've provided, but then also filling in the space so it doesn't look too sparse. Because sometimes they're like, nope, my groom's gonna have the rings. And then you're trying to do your ring shots in the middle of the day. So being able to just bob and weave based on your wedding, I always like to have all the information ahead of time, so I know where things are going to be and when, and what items that they have to photograph with. So it gives options, which is really cool. And if you have the options with you, you can create something beautiful. So I hope this has kind of helped you get ideas as to what I do. I've shown you photographs as to kind of how I put the stuff together a little bit along the way, which is really cool. I love doing it, and people love these, and they're really great filler photos, especially like when you're marketing on Instagram, on your website, that sort of thing. So have fun with it, get creative, have some ideas, and see what you can come up with. If you haven't already, I would love if you subscribe to my channel and take a look through some of the other videos that I've put out in the last few months. There's lots of information. I'm coming out with more every week, so check back and I will have something more for you, probably a behind the scenes next week, because this month is absolutely insane, and that is just what I'm filming this month. See you next time.